The backs of seed packages and plant labels have some pretty solid advice for beginner gardeners. But if you're really ready to up your game, you need to ignore that advice to double the yield from your garden. The backs of seed packets and plant labels give you some basic growing information. Things like season, which I would actually probably take with a grain of salt. Other important things like water or light, or how deep to plant the seed, or plant spacing. But think of these as the uber cautious approach to doing things. The plant companies and seed companies basically don't want to take responsibility for your plants not getting enough of the 3 essential things that plants need to grow. Now, if you have a ton of space, fine, but most of us have to be a lot more conscientious and make every single square foot count. A few questions before we dive in to make sure that this gardening technique is right for you. Have you dealt with erosion or compaction of your soil in the garden? Do you have issues with squirrels digging things up? Are you looking to conserve water or reduce evaporation or mulching efforts? Or most importantly, are you looking to put more tomatoes into the basket at one time? If you said yes to any one of these things, then this plant spacing technique is definitely the right fit for you. So how do we achieve all of those goals with one simple adjustment? We need to think about plant spacing like we are in a yoga studio. If you've got a yoga studio and everybody's lined up in a row, as soon as you go to make your first move, everybody's banging into each other competing for space. But if we offset and stagger our placement, the same amount of people can get the poses done, no extra space needed. Easy enough, right? Just stagger the placement. Don't check out yet though. There is a bit more to it. If all you do is offset it, but keep the plant spacing and row spacing the same, you will end up with the same amount of plants. So here's what you do. You take the plant spacing and make that the row spacing as well. Your plants are able to access the light and growing space they need while still squeaking in those few extra plants. Do not misunderstand me, your plants still need their personal space. If you overplant, don't thin your seedlings, or underestimate how big your plants will eventually get, you will run into significant decreases in yields. If we can give them the plant spacing they need and just tighten up the row spacing a bit, you can literally double the amount of plants you fit into your garden, which means double the harvests. Kind of think of it like a triangle rather than a line. There are a few critical considerations when using this plant spacing approach. We have doubled the number of plants in the same volume of soil. Now, by maintaining that plant spacing, we have ensured that it will get enough sunlight. But the other 2 critical elements that they need, water and nutrients, come from the soil. So if we don't account for those in one way or another, our plants will struggle and we will not realize that increased yield from those extra plants. So to make sure that our soil is in tip-top shape, make sure to watch this video next on soil amendments for your vegetable garden.